Hello there. We have a mixed operations problem today. It features multiplication and subtraction. It's 7 minus 2 times 6, and we want to find out what that equals. So if you'd like to pause the video at this point, you can go ahead and pause it, and we'll come back and work this out together. All right, if you remember your order of operations, well, we'd first look to see if we have any parentheses. We do not. We'd look to see if we have any exponents. If you're familiar with BODMAS, you'd look for orders, things like factorials, square roots, anything that's shorthand for repeated multiplication. No, we don't have that either. So no parentheses, no brackets, no exponents. Well, what do we have? We have multiplication. If we don't have parentheses or exponents, we look for multiplication or division, left to right. Well, we have no division. We do have multiplication. So 2 times 6 is 12. 7 minus 12 is -5. Now, I see a lot of people answering 30 on this problem because they think you solve left to right, and that's never been true. Remember, first of all, multiplication is repeated addition. That's literally what multiplication is. 2 times 6, if we just had 2 times 6, let's forget about the negative sign here, but 2 times 6 is the same thing as adding 2 6 times. 2 times 6 is the same as 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Now, which would you rather write? Multiplication is shorthand for repeated addition. I'd much rather write 2 times 6 than have to add it 6 times like that, wouldn't you? I would. Now, we have the negative sign here in front of the 2 times 6. So negative 2 times 6 is the same thing as subtracting 2 6 times. So negative 2 minus 2 minus 2 minus 2 minus 2 minus 2, right? So what does that equal? It's the same thing as negative 12. Pretty simple. So when you have 7 minus 2 times 6, you can replace the multiplication with equivalent addition or subtraction. In this case, we would replace negative 2 times 6 with equivalent subtraction. And when you do that, you end up with the same answer of -5. So -5 is the correct answer. Now, for the people who think it's 30, the thing that they're forgetting is that you would need parentheses. The same people that say it's 30 are the same people who often say, well, you solve left to right unless I had parentheses around this multiplication. But what they don't understand is they actually need parentheses to get 30. You would have to have parentheses around the 7 minus 2 to make this subtraction have higher precedence than the multiplication. If I have parentheses around 7 minus 2, the first thing that we do is we subtract 2 from 7 and we get 5. 5 times 6 would be 30, but we don't have any parentheses. So when we look at this, we have to look and say, what is our highest order of operations? The highest order of operations in terms of precedence that we have is multiplication. So the first thing we're doing is minus 2 times 6. That's -12. 7 minus 12 is -5. Now you can even check that on a calculator. This is from a Windows computer. These first two examples are with the Windows computer, a calculator in scientific mode. If you do not put parentheses around the subtraction, you see the answer is -5. If I put parentheses around the 7 minus 2 and then multiply that by 6, you will get 30. Now this third example, typically on a Windows computer, the calculator app will default for standard mode. You got to be careful with that because standard mode is also referred to as immediate execution mode. And so what it does in that case, if you're not putting parentheses around the multiplication or you're not doing the multiplication first, in this mode, the calculator is just calculating each operation as you perform it. When you type 7 minus 2 and then you type anything else, it's going to perform the 7 minus 2 and get 5 because it doesn't realize that you're wanting to enter an entire expression. And you're going to see the difference here. Look at how this is written. All you have here is 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. But over here, you have the entire expression. So when you're in scientific mode on a Windows computer and using the calculator app, scientific mode is really working in what's called expression mode, allowing you to type the entire expression, then hitting the equal sign. Basically, when you're using standard mode, it acts as if you're hitting the equal sign after every operation, which is not what you do. So you got to be careful and understand your calculator. A lot of cheap dollar store calculators also work like this. So you need to understand that. So I see a lot of people getting the wrong answer and they're assuming that their calculator is reinforcing, giving them that answer of 30. But what's happening is they really don't know how to use their calculator properly. So if you were to use this type of a calculator, you would need to actually perform the minus 2 times, the negative 2 times 6 first, getting negative 12, and then adding negative 12 with 7 to get negative 5. That's how that type of calculator works. That's just how it's been. All right, I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. See you in the next video.